Alrighty guys, so we are on the week to where the next additional parts for the anniversary will be releasing, obviously on Thursday. Now with all of that, the long awaited DPS water scythe will be available for us to 1. Summon for, and 2. Craft for free. So hopefully you guys have your tickets at the ready. Obviously maximum amount that we can craft is going to be 2. So yeah, as long as you have 8 tickets, then you've got yourself your water DPS scythe with a 1. Now, it could be vital on actually catering to dupes purely because of a slight stipulations for the scythe that we do know about, which we'll go in just a second. But just before we dive on in, again, if you guys do want to support me, yeah, it'll be greatly appreciated as per usual. The newest sets of codes are out. If you are a supporter of mine, check your inbox on your Netmarble account and you should have the codes ready for you. This is kind of what you're going to be getting. And as per usual, if you are a supporter of mine, down below in the description are the giveaways for the deluxe pass. Well, I can give you guys some good raid up tickets amounts ready for the next character, of course. And on top of that, we've got the monthly essence pack that's still going on. And as per usual, we are keeping up with the part 2 anniversary side of things, so I can give back as much as possible to make sure you guys are prepared for the upcoming characters because of the collaboration. So helping you guys out in the summoning side of things with your pools. So again, a lot of you do get picked if you're a supporter of mine, and if you do enter, proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. So supporters, if to the winners of to those that support me, and you win the giveaways, you know. So it is yeah, it's just a nice way to kind of give back to a lot of you guys. So the newest weapon will be releasing on Thursday. So when the daily reset happens, the new weapon should go live, and at that point, everyone needs to just dive on in. I mean, for that point on, there is a lot of raid up tickets being provided. So obviously you can go in through there, but again, you can get a free copy or free 2 copies of this weapon if you do have 8 tickets at the ready as per usual. Hopefully you guys are farming up Simulation Gate, because of course that's a nice way to get those additional tickets rounded up, of course. But so here we've got a little bit of a wording. I don't know if anyone missed out on reading this, but so a brand new water attribute called the Winter's Fang. So unlike previous water attribute weapons, which primarily focus on support capabilities, which is true, Winter Fang is centered around offensive power. So we knew an offensive water element weapon was going to be releasing. It was a given. If they were going to drop another support, it would have been super weird, because yeah, water element right now just has a ton of support going on in terms of the weaponry for some JINWOO, of course. But anyway, continuing on, as the name suggests, it's themed around the wolf motif, and it synergizes particularly well with the wolf assassin Ruin, making it a strong choice for aggressive builds. It's kind of what they're talking about. The damage you deal to normal monsters increases by 28%. So I don't know. Not what I would have suggested or wanted to go for in the correlation side of things, and why this would be the push. But remember, we are getting a new system in June, I believe. You've got to keep in mind there is going to be a amplification system, which will, well, I mean, we don't exactly know for certain on what it could be doing, but with imagery that we've seen in the past with like bloodlust and whatnot, it could kind of either add to it or maybe change it up in a slight way. I'm hoping that with the amplification system, maybe it adds more to say that maybe not you're doing a certain amount for all monsters as well as bosses. So it's not all hopes lost with that specific Ruin correlating with the newest weaponry to build more of an aggressive build, because more so we want it for the bosses, of course. That's kind of what we're most of the time tackling. But there could be hope with this amplification system. It could change things up to where maybe it's feasible, but we'll have to wait and see. But that's the Ruin on what they're speaking of. So continuing on, so Winterfang allows Sun JINWOO to teleport to the enemy when using skills, delivering swift targeted attacks. Now here's the catch. It consumes the power gauge to enable continuous skill use, allowing for high burst potential. While this mechanic may restrict ultimate skill usage, The weapon's evolution stages provide enhancements such as faster power gauge recovery to balance this trade-off. That is right, it is a stage type weapon, so it's going to affect your ultimate gauge clearly, of course, so that's going to be a bit of an issue if that's something that you do build up for and whatnot, but it will provide continuous damage. I mean, I'm curious to see what the damage output will be for this weapon, of course, percentage wise, and see what we can max out of it, but to provide that continuous damage, that will obviously be huge, so we can't go wrong with that. But as it states, there is some form of evolution stage for this weaponry to where the trade-off at the later stage will actually be worth it. And that's why I mean now, reading this little part of it with the stipulations to where it will eventually get to, because it has stages, what are the dupes, you know, there could be a dupe to say that if you hit the final stage, your ultimate just appears, like you've got it maxed out. So, I mean, definitely a weapon that I feel like dupes have to go into just by reading to what the stipulation is, and that there's going to be some form of evolution stages for the weaponry, because clearly you want to get the best out of the weapon, and it will involve getting the weapon's evolution stages up there, which then unfortunately will affect you from restricting your ultimate skill gauge. However, it seems that with the higher the evolution stage that you get, there then will be enhancement and buffs for Sun JINWOO to then go back into the correlation to the power gauge to then have it so that the ultimate gauge is then possible. Alright, so within the live stream they actually obviously did show gameplay, which we've obviously previously seen, but now we know the foundation of this weapon. We can kind of see a little bit of a glimpse of it to kind of know what to prepare for going with this weapon. But a very interesting choice of how it affects our ultimate. I wouldn't have expected that. Very, very interesting on why the developers went that route, but anyway, it's maxed out, so obviously with the water element kind of needed it, since obviously with the damage side of things it is a little bit of lackluster. To be fair, the Grimoire still does decent amount of damage, like it's more so of a support sub DPS. I do want to give it that respect. Okay, so half field gauge on the ult side of things, so obviously with the scythe itself to provide that continuous consistent damage of kind of phasing out and then hitting the enemy, because of course after the teleportation we will have to give up our power gauge, so that's something we want to take note of. So everything's been utilized here. We've got the break, Grimoire's coming in. Okay, so now I think, okay, here we go, boom. So yeah, it is chopping away, because the ult was there, and then by using that the scythe itself, it does consume, but obviously with the evolution stages eventually it will balance itself out. So okay, so we need to get that break once again, and then the scythe is at the ready. I'm curious to see on what the scythe teleportation will be, like the length of it. Hopefully it's pretty disgusting, to be fair. I'll be all for that. So once again, scythe, there it is, boom, good damage. Okay, 1 2 3, so that was the 3 hit. To be fair, that wasn't all too horrible in terms of how the power gauge was affected, but then again, I mean, yeah, they're very overpowered. Well, I wouldn't say overpowered, but like in terms of power level for this fight, they're well prepared, so it's not exactly going to show well in terms of if we're using it on, let's say, the hard version of Workshop Brilliant Light. That and one thing which I don't know if we get to see it, but okay, hold on a minute, let's have a look. So 1 2 3. Damn, can we really? Okay, so I was really hoping for it to use the power gauge, and I'm hoping that's still something that is committed, because of course obviously the weaponry isn't fully finalized. I mean, it could, you know, there could be some last minute changes. I would love for them to implement a thing where we can use it continuously and use up all of our power gauge. I mean, of course we're not going to be using it up all the time, because eventually the enemy will regain its stagger and then obviously go on the offensive, which means we'll have to kind of maneuver our way out of it, of course. But I feel like they should consider making it, because right now we just saw it being a 3-hitter, they should really consider making it so that we can use all of our power gauge if we want to. But yeah, to be fair, the damage was actually pretty solid. Yeah, because obviously with the scythe itself, it does like that 3 swipes, and each swipe was like doing, I don't know, was it 600k, 6 mil? Some good damage. This weapon does have huge damage potential, especially with the whole evolution stages, of course. I don't think well, I think that needs to be shown within the wording side of things. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be releasing on Thursday's reset, so keep that in mind. So obviously when it's Wednesday night or day, depending on what time the reset is for you, yeah, when it hits reset on Thursday for the game, then the weapon will go live, and it is a weapon not to be slept on, not to be forgotten about, because like I said, with every other weaponry we have element-wise within the game, water is disgustingly in need of DPS, and this is the DPS. This is the offensive power that water element has. So yeah, the combination will quite comfortably be the Scythe and the Grimoire, just an FYI. But yeah, I would really love for them, maybe possibly, again, looking back into the dupes side of things, maybe there's more hits to be gathered through the skill with the continuation, consuming more of the power gauge through the dupes. I would be for that. I would definitely be for that. But then in terms of the evolution stages, the final evolution stage has to have some form of balance for the loss of the ultimate gauge. But to be fair, with the gameplay that we're seeing, of course, yeah, the loss of the power gauge is nothing horrible. Keep in mind this weapon is completely maxed out, so that is telling me that in order to have that stipulations to not affect us as much and still have the ultimate at our for our usage, of course, of a more quicker rate, of course, it seems that duping it out is going to be vital, maybe in the higher end stages of things. So might require some investments, but again, if you've got your tickets at the ready, then that's an easy A1 right there. And then obviously with rate up tickets, if you've been saving them, because the game has been providing with a lot of rate up tickets, then we can go about potentially getting lucky and getting this weapon duped out on where we need it to be duped out, so that way we don't have that stipulation affecting us that hard and that difficult. So yeah, but the weapon looks promising. Weapon looks very promising.